The shout came first. Then the steel chair hit the floor. Inside the North Infirmary housing area of Rikers Island, Officer Michael Turner turned toward the sound just as another officer stepped backward near a cell gate. The hallway was narrow, brighter than most housing units because medical lights stayed on longer there. White walls reflected every movement. Radios echoed louder. Every sound felt sharper. Then everything happened in one fast moment. An inmate from Brooklyn lunged forward from the doorway. Officers had opened the cell for a controlled movement that was supposed to last seconds. Instead, the inmate moved with sudden speed, one arm hidden near his side until the last second. Officer Turner saw the object too late. Officer Daniel Hayes raised his arm to block. Another officer shouted for backup. The inmate swung once, then again, forcing both officers backward toward the wall. A radio dropped and skidded across the floor. The alarm had not even started yet. For one frozen second, nobody at the far desk understood what they were seeing. Then the emergency button hit. Doors buzzed. The whole corridor changed. Medical staff inside nearby rooms stepped back behind glass windows. An officer at the far gate yelled for lockdown. And while backup rushed in, the inmate stood in the center of the corridor breathing hard, still holding the small sharpened object officers had somehow missed. No one moved closer yet, because the nearest officers were helping the two injured guards against the wall. Then the inmate looked down the corridor and said one sentence clearly. "You should have searched better." That sentence would later appear in reports. But the story had started many hours earlier. Outside New York City, morning clouds had covered the East River. Traffic moved slowly over bridges leading toward Queens. Sirens passed under gray sky. In Brooklyn, people hurried through cold streets near subway stations while court buses carried detainees toward hearings and transfers. 26-year-old Marcus Bell sat in one of those buses wearing county-issued clothing and staring through the narrow window. Marcus came from Brooklyn, near East New York. He had already spent short periods inside city custody before, enough to know that every jail unit had its own mood. But Rikers felt different the moment the bus crossed onto the island. Bigger. Heavier. More tired. At intake, officers spoke fast because too many transfers had arrived at once. One officer pointed Marcus toward processing. Another checked paperwork without looking up. Inside intake, names from every borough mixed together. Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Harlem, Staten Island. Many had old charges. Some had new violations. Some waited for hearings that kept moving further away. Marcus noticed one name repeated quietly by officers near the desk. Ethan Cole. He did not know the name then. But others did. Officer Michael Turner knew it very well. Turner had worked enough years inside the jail to recognize which names changed officer posture. Ethan Cole came with alerts attached to his file. History of assaults. Prior violent incidents. Special handling instructions. Recent placement inside medical-related housing because of ongoing observation. North Infirmary Command housed detainees needing medical supervision, special observation, or mental health monitoring. It looked cleaner than older units, but officers often said that did not make it safer. Sometimes it created different risks. The morning started quietly. Marcus entered general housing elsewhere, not the infirmary. But word spread fast between units. A Brooklyn inmate with a violent history had arrived in NIC. Some detainees knew his borough before they knew his case. Inside Rikers, borough identity still traveled faster than paperwork. Officer Turner reviewed the special movement sheet before noon. Ethan Cole would remain in controlled cell time. 2 officers required for movement. Search before every escort. No loose items nearby. Those rules existed because prior incidents had taught hard lessons. Officer Daniel Hayes read the same sheet and sighed. Again? Turner answered, until shift ends. Hayes had worked double shifts twice that week already. Staff shortages meant many officers covered more than planned. Even inside specialized units, tired officers carried extra responsibility. That low moment lasted through lunch. Plastic trays moved through slots. Medical carts rolled past doorways. A nurse checked 2 detainees for medication. The white hallway stayed calm enough that voices stayed low. Turner passed Ethan's cell around 1 p.m. Ethan stood near the back wall. Average height. Quiet face. No shouting. No obvious anger. That often mattered more than shouting. Turner had learned that silence could hide more than noise. "You good?" Turner asked through the slot. Ethan looked up. "Need clean water." Turner nodded and marked it. Nothing unusual. But around 2 p.m., a nurse reported something small. A plastic spoon from meal tray was missing from Ethan's return tray. That started a short search. Cell checked. Bedding checked. Nothing found. The spoon could have broken earlier. Could have been discarded. Still, Turner wrote it down. Because small missing items mattered inside North Infirmary. Marcus, in another unit, heard parts of the same story through passing conversation during rec time. A detainee from Brooklyn told another detainee. "They searching somebody in medical again." Nobody reacted much because searches happened every day. But names kept moving. By afternoon, weather outside darkened early. Inside NIC, one overhead light near Ethan's corridor flickered every few minutes. Maintenance had been requested 2 days earlier. Still waiting. Hayes joked about it once. "Even lights tired in here." Turner smiled briefly. Then paperwork arrived for evening medication movement. Ethan would step to doorway during nurse pass. 2 officers present. Standard procedure. That was when another low moment made later questions harder. Shift overlap delayed 1 officer assignment. For 9 minutes, Hayes and Turner covered more than planned while another officer responded elsewhere. Only 9 minutes. But inside Rikers, 9 minutes often changed everything. At 6:20 p.m., Turner checked Ethan's cell again. Nothing unusual. At 6:27 p.m., a nurse rolled medication cart toward the corridor. At 6:29 p.m., Hayes unlocked the outer gate. At 6:30 p.m., Ethan stepped forward for controlled movement. Turner noticed one thing immediately. Ethan kept one shoulder angled slightly away. Turner told him, "Hands visible." Ethan raised one hand. The other stayed low for a fraction too long. Then came the chair sound. A steel chair leg scraping hard because Ethan kicked it sideways to break officer focus. Hayes turned instinctively toward the noise. That gave Ethan the opening. The sharpened object flashed once under white light. Not large. Not dramatic. Just fast. Turner grabbed Hayes and pulled him backward as alarms began. Officers rushed from both ends. The object stayed in Ethan's hand while he backed toward center corridor. Medical staff sealed nearby doors. Turner kept talking, trying to hold distance. "Drop it." Ethan breathed hard but stayed focused. No shouting. That calm frightened officers more. Then Ethan said, "You should have searched better." The words hung in the corridor. Because Turner instantly remembered the missing spoon. The earlier search. The flickering light. The delayed staffing. Had the object come from that spoon? Had something else been missed during tray collection? No answer yet. Backup arrived with shields. Hayes stayed near wall, pressing cloth against the side of his head while another officer guided him back. Turner did not move forward. He watched Ethan's feet. Watched hands. Watched the object. Then the corridor lights flickered once. Only once. But enough to shift every shadow. And in that brief flicker, Ethan stepped backward toward an unlocked service door officers believed had already been secured. Turner looked sharply at the door. It was open by inches. That should not have been possible. No one had touched it. Yet there it was. And before backup closed the distance, Ethan moved toward that opening. While somewhere deeper in the unit, a second alarm began sounding from a room where no officer was standing.